Hi everyone, welcome back and welcome to another reading. This will be your general reading for October 2023 for those of you who have Cancer as your sun, moon, or rising. And if you don't identify as a Cancer and it's the title or the thumbnail that drew you to this read, I encourage you to stick around. There might be something here for you. The fact is that we all have every sign in some particular house of ours. It just depends on, what your sun sign is, and that'll tell you where Cancer falls, what house of yours it's in. So there may be something useful that you can take from this reading and apply in that particular area. I'm sorry that you guys didn't get a reading for September. I hope you didn't feel as though you were missing anything and that the previous readings that I released, the most recent ones, were enough to hold you over in the interim. To be honest with you, and I'm telling everyone this just to give you context, I wasn't certain if I was going to continue to release these videos, and I received some very kind messages and some donations by way of PayPal. And to know that these videos are helping in the way that they are, it was enough to motivate me to keep going. And I felt as though my motivation was waning a bit. And if you're one of those people who donated, I am just so appreciative. Thank you. And it brings me a lot of happiness and joy to know that you enjoy these videos. That being said, let's get into this read. We're gonna get some shuffling done here to start. You know how we do. I've already cleared the energy. The fighting is pretty much over, or just about over, and the moment that you've been waiting for is within reach. And it's when you're closest to that goal, it's when you get really close to the destination that it's its hardest. It starts to feel like everything is a personal attack. It starts to feel like everyone is out to get you, and that that everyone just has an issue with you, or has an issue with what you're doing, or how you do things, or how you say things. So we're a bit defensive, and maybe you're defensive because you don't feel like the way people are coming at you is warranted. You can feel it all around. If it brings you any solace, which I think it should, just keep in mind that you are on the threshold of something here, and there is a chapter that is closing, and you are stepping into something new. So this pressure that you may be experiencing you'll only be experiencing it for a time. Pressure of this particular kind, at least. The era of your life that you're stepping into is going to challenge you in different ways, in new ways. It's going to expand you. And maybe that's not something that scares you. Maybe because it's not necessarily uncharted waters. You will be dealing with something that you're familiar with, that you have some experience with, and in some ways you're getting in touch with your roots. You're finding yourself, going back to yourself. Try your best to see beyond the petty and nasty things that people are saying to you. Try your best to see through the snide remarks or the side comments that people are making, and you should also try not to make any yourself. I think that it's easy to just play along because that's, it seems like the easy thing to do, or it may feel like if you just go along with it, that, they'll stop, or that, the subject will change. But just because you don't have to put up with something for that much longer, it doesn't mean that you should lay down and take it. It doesn't mean that you should go along with some kind of narrative or way of understanding that you don't necessarily subscribe to. You know who you are. And I don't think that you should allow other people to define you or to cast aspersions on you, or, try to tell you how you feel, or try to tell you how you should think. And you can stand firm in who you are without being a dick, without being an asshole. And I'm not saying that you should do that. What I'm saying is don't play along. If you don't really think that, don't play along. And I'm not saying don't play along. How do I want to say this? It's the principle. It's the principle. And it doesn't matter if you're never going to see them again. It doesn't matter if you're never going to talk to them again. You must be in control of the way that you respond. And I think it's easy to make light of something, or to act like something isn't that serious, or that it isn't that deep. But it's not okay if it's really hurting you. All of that being said, if you're sound emotionally, and you're making the decision to not participate or not respond, if you're actively making that choice, then that's different, right? Because you're still in control at that point. You're choosing not to respond, you're choosing to be better, you're choosing to be bigger. No response is a response. I don't think that you should respond in the way that you think people want you to respond just because you want to keep the peace. You don't have to say anything and they will get the point. You feed them when you give them your attention. You feed them when you give them your energy. And I know that's not always fun because, you know, there's some kind of pleasure to be had in getting your lick back or getting your get back, whatever it is the kids are saying these days. Dare to be different. You should dead that. It's not cute. And sure, you might feel good for a time. It might give you some instant gratification, but think about what it'll do to your spirit and think about your karma. Think about what it says about the kind of person you are. When we talk about turning the other cheek and what that really means, we're presented with many opportunities to turn the other cheek when people are unnecessarily cruel to us. And I just want to be very clear. There are some types of cruelty that are not forgivable, and you should absolutely do what is necessary and right for your health and for your life and to protect yourself. If what we're talking about is your life being threatened, there are institutions, authorities, resources that you have that you can turn to seek justice. You don't necessarily have to take justice into your own hands. But if what it is, you know, these spats and, you know, nasty comments or things that people are saying, things that you wouldn't necessarily go to the police for, right? Like you wouldn't go to the police for someone who's calling you names or for someone who is gaslighting you or manipulating you. It depends on the kind of manipulation, but and the degree, right? And what comes about. But those types that you can see through where you're fully aware and you know that they're doing you wrong, turn the other cheek. They will always get what is coming to them. And I try to explain this to people. You don't need to take revenge. You don't always need to take matters into your own hands. Life has a really fabulous way of handling the people who screw you over. It is just so chef's kiss. It is perfect. And more often than not, you don't need to do anything. Life will take care of them. God will take care of them. And God will take care of you. But it all goes back to karma, and it all goes back to the weighing of your actions. One of the things about David and a lot of David's prayer, if you read, you know, any of the book of Psalms, is David asks God to judge him first. And this is why so many of his prayers are so powerful. You have so much faith and belief that you didn't do anything wrong, that you're inviting God to judge you, to examine your actions, to examine your steps. And if you find that I'm innocent, then persecute those who have done me wrong. So there must be this willingness to hold yourself accountable and examine your own behavior. And this is why I talk about this so much on this channel, because it is so important. And you can take, prayer, take scripture out of it if you would like to. And just from an objective standpoint, it is a sign of emotional intelligence and maturity is when you can look at yourself and look at your own behavior and look at your own decisions and be honest with yourself about whether or not you were right or wrong. It takes a lot of courage to do that, because it's tempting and it's easy to lie to ourselves and to rationalize our behavior. But the man or woman, or however you identify, that can look within themselves, Queen of Cups, and examine themselves, those are the ones who will inherit. For so long, you've been waiting for things to turn around or for things to change for the better, and it's just around the corner. It's gonna happen. And I think that there's something different about this cycle. There's something different about this go around. The difference is that this time you're gonna win. If what we talked about here doesn't make a whole lot of sense to you, give this a watch in another month or so. I hope that this helped truly, and I'll see you in the next one.